The morning sun came through the windows of Maya's place, making the chrome counter shine bright. Maya Robinson stood behind that counter, wiping it down with a clean white cloth. She moved her hand in slow circles, the way she had done every morning for the past 15 years. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air. Bacon sizzled on the grill in the back. The sound of plates clinking and people talking made the diner feel alive and warm. Maya was 42 years old, but she still loved working the early shift. Some people told her she didn't need to anymore. She owned the place. She had staff who could do the work. But Maya always said the same thing. She liked being close to her customers. She liked seeing their faces. She liked hearing about their lives. This diner was her dream, and she wasn't going to sit in an office while other people lived it for her. The bell above the door rang as more customers came in. Maya looked up and smiled. It was the third rush of the morning. First came the construction workers at 6. They needed coffee and big breakfast before heading to their job sites. Then came the nurses from the hospital down the street. They worked the night shift and needed food before going home to sleep. Now it was almost 8 and families were coming in. Parents with children getting breakfast before school. Retired folks who came every day to read the paper and talk with friends. Maya knew most of them by name. There was Mr. Patterson, an old man with white hair who always sat in the corner booth. He ordered the same thing every day. 2 eggs over easy, wheat toast and coffee with 2 sugars. There was Mrs. Chen, who brought her twin grandchildren every Wednesday. There was Marcus, a young teacher who graded papers while he ate his pancakes. These people were more than customers. They were her community. They were the reason she worked so hard. Her phone buzzed in her apron pocket. Maya pulled it out and read the message. Her heart sank a little. It was from Jennifer, one of her waitresses. Jennifer was sick. She couldn't come to work. Maya looked around the diner. Every table was full. More people were waiting by the door. David, her manager, was busy in the kitchen. The other waitress, Carmen, was running between tables, taking orders and bringing food as fast as she could. Maya put her phone back in her pocket. She didn't think twice. She grabbed a clean apron from under the counter and tied it around her waist. She picked up her order pad and a pen. Then she walked out onto the floor with a smile on her face. This wasn't new to her. She had started as a waitress 20 years ago. She worked at a different diner back then, saving every dollar she could. When this place went up for sale, she bought it. She cleaned every corner herself. She painted the walls. She chose every plate and cup. She built something from nothing. "Good morning, sweetheart," she said to a little girl in a pink dress. The girl was sitting with her mother near the window. "What can I get for you today?" The little girl looked up at Maya with big brown eyes. "Can I have chocolate chip pancakes?" "You sure can," Maya said, writing it down. "And for you, ma'am?" The mother ordered coffee and an omelet. Maya moved to the next table, then the next. She worked quickly but never rushed. She made eye contact with every person. She laughed at their jokes. She asked about their days. This was what she loved. This connection, this feeling of taking care of people. Behind the counter, the college fund jar caught the light. It was a big glass jar with a label on it. Maya's daughter, Jasmine, was 19 now. She was in her second year at college, studying to be a doctor. Every tip Maya made went into that jar. Every extra dollar the diner earned went toward Jasmine's education. Maya wanted her daughter to have opportunities she never had. She wanted Jasmine to reach for the stars and actually touch them. The kitchen window opened. "Order up," David called out. He was a good man, David. He had worked for Maya for 8 years. He knew every recipe by heart. He kept the kitchen running smooth even on the busiest days. Maya grabbed the plates and brought them to table 5, an old couple who came every Saturday. They always held hands while they ate. "Here you go," Maya said, setting down their food. "Enjoy your breakfast." "Thank you, dear," the old woman said. "You're working the floor today?" "Jennifer called in sick," Maya explained. "But I don't mind. Keeps me young," the old man chuckled. "You're doing a fine job, as always." Maya felt warm inside. These small moments meant everything to her. She went back to the counter to grab the coffee pot. She walked through the diner, refilling cups. People thanked her. Some tried to give her tips, but she waved them away. "Save it for Carmen," she said. "She's working hard today." The door opened again. 2 police officers walked in. Maya glanced at them as she poured coffee for Mr. Patterson. Police came into the diner sometimes. Usually they were nice. They ordered food, ate quickly, and left. Maya always gave them good service. She believed in respecting everyone no matter who they were. These two officers looked different from each other. One was older, maybe in his late 40s. He had a thick neck and a hard face. His uniform looked tight on him. He walked like he owned the place. The younger officer behind him seemed nervous. He was maybe 25, still new to the job. He kept looking around like he wasn't sure he wanted to be there. Maya finished pouring Mr. Patterson's coffee. She grabbed 2 menus from behind the counter. Then she walked over to where the officers had sat down in a booth near the middle of the diner. The older officer was looking at his phone. The younger one was looking at the menu board on the wall. "Good morning, officers," Maya said with her usual smile. She held out the menus. "Welcome to Maya's place. What can I get started for you today?" The older officer didn't look up from his phone. He didn't take the menu. He just sat there scrolling through whatever he was reading. Maya stood there still holding out the menus. She kept her smile, but inside she felt a small, uncomfortable feeling. Something wasn't right. Finally, the officer looked up. His eyes moved over Maya slowly. He looked at her face, her apron, her hands. There was something cold in his look. Something that made Maya's stomach tighten. She had seen that look before many times in her life. It was the look that said she was less than. The look that said she didn't matter. "Coffee," he said. His voice was flat and hard. "Black, and make it quick. I don't have time for slow service." He said the word slow in a strange way, like he meant more than just the speed of service. Maya felt her face get hot. The younger officer looked uncomfortable. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but then closed it again. Maya took a deep breath. She had dealt with rude customers before. You couldn't own a diner for 15 years without meeting all kinds of people. Some were kind. Some were difficult. You treated them all with respect and did your job. That was what her mother had taught her. "Of course," Maya said, keeping her voice steady. "Coffee coming right up." "And for you, officer?" She looked at the younger officer. He seemed relieved that she was talking to him. "I'll have the same, please. And maybe some eggs and toast when you get a chance." "No problem," Maya said. She wrote down the order. "I'll be right back with your coffee." She walked back to the counter. Her hands were shaking a little, but she didn't let it show. She grabbed 2 coffee cups and filled them from the fresh pot. The coffee was hot and black, exactly how the officer wanted it. She put the cups on a tray with cream and sugar, just in case the younger officer wanted some. As she walked back to their table, Maya told herself to stay calm. It was just coffee. It was just another customer. But deep down, she knew this morning was about to become very different from all the others. Maya walked back to the table with the coffee tray. She could feel eyes on her from other tables. Some of the regular customers had noticed the tension. Mr. Patterson looked up from his newspaper. Mrs. Chen stopped talking to her grandchildren. The diner was still noisy with conversation and the sound of plates, but something had changed in the air. She reached the table and carefully set down the first cup in front of the older officer. "Here's your coffee, sir," she said. "Hot and black, just like you asked." The officer looked at the cup. He didn't say thank you. He didn't even nod. He just picked it up and took a sip. Then his face twisted like he had tasted something terrible. He put the cup down hard. Coffee splashed onto the table. "This is cold," he said loudly. Several people at nearby tables turned to look. What kind of place serves cold coffee? Maya felt confused. She had just poured it from a fresh pot. The coffee couldn't be cold. She had felt the heat from the cup through the tray, but she kept her voice polite and professional. "I'm sorry, sir. I just poured that from a fresh pot. But I'll be happy to get you a new cup if you'd like." "I don't want a new cup," the officer said. His voice was getting louder. "I want you to do your job right the first time." "Is that too much to ask?" The younger officer looked down at his hands. He seemed embarrassed. Maya could see his face turning red. But he didn't say anything to his partner. He just sat there, quiet and uncomfortable. Maya took a deep breath. She had to stay calm. Getting angry wouldn't help anything. "I apologize for any inconvenience, sir. Let me get you fresh coffee right away." She reached for the cup, but the officer pulled it away. "Leave it," he said. "I'll drink it. But I shouldn't have to settle for this kind of service." Maya stepped back. She set down the younger officer's coffee and the cream and sugar. The young man quietly thanked her. At least he had manners. She took out her order pad. "Are you gentlemen ready to order breakfast?" The older officer looked at the menu for the first time. He studied it like he was reading something written in a foreign language. His finger moved down the list of items. Maya waited. Behind her, she could hear David calling out another order in the kitchen. She could hear Carmen rushing to deliver food to table 7. The diner was busy and she needed to keep moving, but she stood there patiently waiting for the officer to decide. "I'll have eggs," he finally said. "Over easy. Bacon, crispy. Toast wheat, and make sure the eggs aren't runny." "I can't stand runny eggs." Maya wrote it down. "Over easy eggs are a little bit soft in the middle, sir. Would you prefer them over medium or over hard?" The officer's jaw tightened. "Did I ask for your opinion?" "I said over easy, but not runny. You do know the difference, don't you? Or is that too complicated?" Maya felt something hot rise in her chest. It was anger mixed with hurt. She had been treating people with respect all morning, all her life. And this man was talking to her like she was stupid, like she was beneath him. But she pushed the feeling down. She wouldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing her upset. "Yes, sir," she said quietly. "I'll make sure the kitchen knows exactly what you want." "Good," the officer said. He closed the menu and pushed it toward her. "Maybe you can get something right today." The younger officer finally spoke up.
"I'll just have scrambled eggs and toast, please."
"Whatever kind of toast is fine." "And thank you." Maya nodded at him. She appreciated his kindness, small as it was. She took the menus and walked back to the kitchen. Her legs felt shaky. When she reached the kitchen window, she put the order slip up for David to see. He looked at it, then looked at her face. "You okay, Maya?" David asked. He had worked with her long enough to know when something was wrong. "I'm fine," Maya said, but her voice cracked a little. "Just a difficult customer." David glanced out at the dining room. He could see the 2 officers at their table. The older one was on his phone again. The younger one was looking around nervously. David frowned. "You want me to handle their table?" he asked. Maya shook her head. "No, I've got it. Just make sure those eggs are perfect, okay?" The older officer is already looking for reasons to complain. "I'll make them perfect," David promised. "Don't worry." Maya went back to work. She took orders from new customers. She refilled coffee cups. She brought food to tables. She smiled and chatted like everything was normal. But in the back of her mind, she kept thinking about the officer's table. She kept waiting for the next problem. It didn't take long. When David called out their order, Maya picked up the plates. The eggs looked perfect. The bacon was crispy, just like the officer wanted. The toast was golden brown. She carried the plates carefully through the busy diner and set them down. "Here you go, gentlemen," she said. "Please let me know if you need anything else." The older officer looked down at his plate. He picked up his fork and poked at the eggs. The yolk broke and ran a little, the way over easy eggs do. His face turned dark with anger. "I told you not runny," he said. His voice was so loud that the whole diner got quiet. People stopped eating. They stopped talking. Everyone was looking at their table now. "Are you deaf? Or just incompetent?" Maya felt her heart pounding. "Sir, over easy eggs have a soft yolk? That's what over easy means. I asked if you wanted them cooked more and you said no." "Don't tell me what I said," the officer shot back. He pushed his plate away. "This is unacceptable. The eggs are wrong. The coffee was cold. And your attitude is terrible." "I don't have an attitude, sir," Maya said. She was trying so hard to keep her voice steady. "I'm just trying to explain about the eggs." "There you go again," the officer said. He looked around at the other customers like he wanted them to agree with him. Talking back. "This is the problem with people like you. No respect, no work ethic. You probably didn't even finish high school, did you?" The words hit Maya like a slap. "People like you." She knew exactly what he meant. It wasn't about being a waitress. It wasn't about the eggs or the coffee. This was about the color of her skin. This was about him looking at her and deciding she was less than human, less than deserving of respect. Mr. Patterson stood up from his corner booth. He was old, but he was tall and he looked angry. "Now hold on just a minute," he said. His voice shook a little, but it was strong. "That's no way to talk to anyone. This young lady has been serving breakfast in this diner for years. She's always been nothing but professional and kind." Other customers started nodding. Some of them spoke up too. "That's right," someone said. "Leave her alone," said another voice. "She didn't do anything wrong." The officer turned to face them. His hand went to his badge. He pulled it out and held it up where everyone could see. "I'm a police officer," he said. His voice had an edge of threat in it. I suggest you all mind your own business. This is between me and this waitress. The diner went quiet again. People looked down at their plates. They didn't want trouble with a cop. Maya understood. She didn't blame them. You couldn't blame people for being afraid. The officer turned back to Maya. I want to speak to the owner. Right now. You're going to be fired for this. I'll make sure of it. Maya's hands were shaking. She clasped them together so he wouldn't see. I can get the owner for you, she said softly. Good, the officer said. He sat back in his seat and crossed his arms. Go get them, and tell them they're about to lose an employee. The younger officer looked miserable. He pushed his plate away even though he had barely touched his food. Rick, maybe we should just go, he said quietly. This isn't worth it. Shut up, Torres, the older officer said. His name was Brennan. Maya could see it on his name tag now. Officer Brennan. She would remember that name. We're not going anywhere until I talk to whoever runs this place. Somebody needs to teach them how to hire proper staff. Maya looked around the diner. Herr Diener. These were her customers. Her friends. Her community. They were all watching her. Some looked worried. Some looked angry on her behalf. Mr. Patterson was still standing, his hands clenched into fists. Mrs. Chen had her arms around her grandchildren, like she was protecting them from something ugly. Maya had worked so hard for 15 years. She had saved her money. She had built a business. She had created a place where people felt welcome and safe. And now this man was trying to take away her dignity in front of everyone. He was trying to make her feel small and worthless. All because of hate. All because he looked at her and saw someone he thought he could push around. But Officer Brennan had made one big mistake. He assumed she was powerless. He assumed she was just a waitress with no voice and no rights. He had no idea who she really was. Maya straightened her back. She looked Officer Brennan right in the eye. I'll get the owner, she said. Her voice was calm now, clear and strong. Just wait right here. She turned and walked toward the back of the diner. Every eye in the place followed her. The bell above the door rang as new customers came in, but they stopped when they saw the scene. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Maya walked through the kitchen door and disappeared from sight. Officer Brennan sat at his table with his arms crossed, waiting. He had a satisfied look on his face. He thought he had won. He thought this was over, but it was only just beginning. Maya walked through the kitchen with her head held high. David looked up from the grill, concern written all over his face. Carmen was back there too, taking a quick break between orders. They both saw the look on Maya's face and knew something serious was happening. Maya, what's going on? David asked. He put down his spatula and wiped his hands on his apron. That officer out there wants to speak to the owner, Maya said. Her voice was steady, but David could hear the emotion underneath. He says I should be fired. Carmen's eyes went wide. What? Why? You didn't do anything wrong. It doesn't matter what I did or didn't do, Maya said. She walked to her small office in the back. It was really just a closet with a desk and a filing cabinet, but it was hers. Some people already have their minds made up about you before you even open your mouth. She opened the filing cabinet and pulled out a folder. Inside was her business license, her property deed, letters from the mayor and the Chamber of Commerce, awards from community groups, certificates of appreciation from local schools where she had donated meals. This was her proof. This was her armor. She had built something real and legitimate, and no one could take that away from her. Maya took off her apron and hung it on the hook by the door. She opened another small closet and pulled out a navy blue blazer. She always kept it there for meetings with suppliers or the occasional visit from the health inspector. She put it on and buttoned it. She looked at herself in the small mirror by the door. She looked professional. She looked like a business owner, because that's exactly what she was. You want me to come with you? David asked. He looked ready to fight if needed. Maya shook her head. No, I need to do this myself. But thank you. She touched his arm gently. Just keep the kitchen running. We still have customers to feed. She walked back through the kitchen and pushed open the door to the dining room. The diner was completely silent now. It seemed like even the sound of breathing had stopped. Every person in that room was watching the door, waiting to see what would happen next. Maya walked slowly through the diner. Her shoes clicked on the tile floor. She held the folder against her chest like a shield, She reached the officer's table. Officer Brennan looked up at her. He seemed confused for a moment. This wasn't the waitress who had left. This was someone different. Someone who carried herself with authority. But then his face hardened again. He wasn't going to let go of his anger that easily. "Where's the owner?" he demanded. Maya pulled out the chair across from him and sat down. She placed the folder on the table between them. She looked Officer Brennan directly in the eyes. "I'm Maya Robinson," she said. Her voice was clear and strong. "I own this diner. I have for 15 years. The silence in the diner was total. You could have heard a pin drop. Officer Brennan's face went through several changes. First confusion, then disbelief, then something that might have been embarrassment, but that quickly turned to anger. His face got red, his jaw clenched tight. "You're lying," he said, but his voice didn't sound as confident as before. Maya opened the folder. She pulled out her business license and slid it across the table. "This is my business license. Maya Robinson, owner of Maya's Place." She pulled out another document. "This is the property deed. I own this building." She pulled out more papers one by one. Letters of recognition from the city. Awards for community service. Tax documents showing 15 years of successful business operation. Officer Brennan looked at the papers but didn't touch them. His partner, Officer Torres, leaned over to see. His eyes got wide. "Rick," he said quietly. "She's telling the truth." The diner suddenly came alive with sound. Customers started clapping. Some cheered. Mr. Patterson let out a loud "yes" from his corner booth. Mrs. Chen was smiling and nodding. Even some of the new customers who had just walked in started clapping, even though they didn't know what was happening. They just knew they were watching something important. Maya felt tears trying to come, but she pushed them back. She wouldn't cry in front of this man. She wouldn't give him that. Instead, she kept her face calm and professional. "Now," she said, "I believe you wanted to speak to the owner about firing an employee. But as you can see, I am both the owner and the employee you wanted fired. So I'm afraid that's not going to happen." Officer Brennan's face was now dark red, but instead of apologizing, instead of backing down, he got more aggressive. Maya recognized this. She had seen it before. Some people, when they realize they're wrong, get even angrier. They can't admit their mistake. They can't accept that they misjudged someone, so they double down. They attack harder. "These could be fake," Brennan said, pushing the papers back toward her. "Anyone can print up fake documents. I've seen it 100 times. Maya felt a flash of real anger now. "These documents are filed with the city. You can verify them yourself. Call City Hall right now if you don't believe me." "Oh, I'm sure they're filed," Brennan said. His voice had a nasty edge to it. "But that doesn't mean you got them honestly. You want to tell me how a person like you managed to buy a whole building and run a business? Where did the money come from? Because I know what waitresses make, and it isn't enough to buy property." The implication was clear. He was suggesting she had done something illegal, that she couldn't have earned this honestly. The diner got quiet again, but now the mood was different. People weren't just interested anymore. They were angry. They were offended on Maya's behalf. Maya leaned forward. Her voice was cold now. "A person like me? What exactly do you mean by that, Officer Brennan?" Brennan realized he had gone too far. But he couldn't back down now. "I mean someone with your background, your education level, your experience." "You don't know anything about my background," Maya said. "You don't know that I worked 3 jobs to save money. You don't know that I went to community college at night. You don't know that I spent 10 years learning every aspect of the restaurant business before I bought this place. You don't know me at all. You just looked at me and decided you knew everything about me." "That's not what I meant," Brennan said, but everyone in the diner knew that was exactly what he meant. "I think you should leave now," Maya said. She stood up from the table. "You're not welcome in my establishment anymore." Brennan stood up too. He was taller than Maya, and he used his height to try to intimidate her. He stepped closer into her personal space. "I'm not going anywhere. I haven't finished my meal. I'm a paying customer and you can't throw me out." "Actually, I can," Maya said. She didn't step back. She didn't let him scare her. "This is private property. I have the right to refuse service to anyone. And I'm refusing service to you. Please leave." "You're making a big mistake," Brennan said. His voice was threatening now. His hand moved toward his belt where his badge hung. "I'm a police officer. You really want to do this? You want to make an enemy of the police department?" Officer Torres stood up quickly. Rick, stop. This has gone far enough. We need to leave. But Brennan ignored him. He kept his eyes on Maya. I can make your life very difficult. I can have health inspectors here every week. I can have this place checked for code violations. I can make sure every cop in the city knows about this place and how you treat officers. Let's see how your business does then. Maya pulled out her phone. Her hand was steady now. All the fear had turned into determination. She opened her camera app and started recording. Officer Brennan, badge number 4527. She said clearly into the camera. I am Maya Robinson, owner of this establishment. I am asking you to leave my private property. You are refusing to leave and are now threatening my business. I'm recording this for my protection and filing an official complaint. Several customers pulled out their phones too. They started recording from different angles. The diner had become a court of public opinion, and Officer Brennan was losing badly. Brennan looked around at all the phones pointed at him. His face was now a deep red, almost purple. He was trapped, he knew it. If he did anything now, it would be recorded from multiple angles. It would be all over social media in minutes. But his pride wouldn't let him just apologize and walk away.
He had to have the last word.
He had to feel like he was still in control. Fine, he said. He threw a $20 bill on the table. It fell and landed half on the floor. Here's your money. But you haven't heard the last of this. I'm going to make sure every officer in this precinct knows about this place. I'm going to tell them what kind of establishment this is, what kind of person runs it. Good luck staying in business when the people who protect this city won't come here anymore. He turned and walked toward the door. His steps were heavy and angry. Officer Torres stayed behind for a moment. He looked at Maya with genuine regret in his eyes. I'm sorry, he said quietly. Really sorry. This isn't right. What he did isn't right. Maya nodded at him. She appreciated his words, even if they didn't fix anything. Torres hurried after his partner. The bell above the door rang as they left. Through the window, Maya could see Brennan saying something angrily to Torres. Torres looked down at the ground, his shoulders hunched. As soon as the door closed, the diner erupted. Customers stood up from their tables. They surrounded Maya. Some were hugging her. Some were shaking her hand. Some were just talking all at once, expressing their support and their anger at what they had witnessed. That was incredible, Mr. Patterson said. He had tears in his eyes. You stood up to him. You didn't let him break you. I'm so proud of you, Mrs. Chen said. She was a small woman, but she squeezed Maya's hand tight. That took real courage. We all saw what happened, Marcus, the teacher said. He was still holding his phone. I got the whole thing recorded. If you need witnesses for a complaint, everyone here will back you up. Maya felt overwhelmed. Her legs suddenly felt weak. All the strength she had pulled together was leaving her body now. David appeared at her side and put an arm around her shoulders. Come on, he said gently. Let's get you to the back for a minute. But Maya shook her head. No, I'm okay. I need to stay here. We still have a diner to run. She looked around at all the faces. These people had stood with her. They had witnessed what happened. They had pulled out their phones to protect her. This was her community. This was why she did what she did. This was why the diner mattered so much. It wasn't just about food. It was about creating a space where people could come together, where they could stand up for what was right. Thank you, Maya said to everyone. Her voice cracked a little, but she didn't care anymore. Thank you all so much for your support. Now please sit down and finish your breakfast before they get cold. People laughed and started going back to their tables. The normal sounds of the diner slowly returned. Forks on plates, coffee cups clinking. Conversations starting up again. But something had changed. There was a new feeling in the air. A feeling of solidarity, of community, of people who had witnessed an injustice and refused to stay silent. Maya picked up the $20 bill from the floor. She looked at it for a moment, then walked to the register. She opened the college fund jar and put the money inside. Her daughter's education would be paid for in part by this moment. By her standing up for herself. By her refusing to be diminished. That seemed right somehow. That seemed like justice. Maya stood by the register for a moment, trying to catch her breath. Her heart was still racing. Her hands had started to shake now that the confrontation was over. She pressed them flat against the counter, willing them to be still. She needed to be strong. She needed to keep going. The diner was still full of customers. They still needed her. Carmen came out from the kitchen with fresh coffee. She walked straight to Maya and gave her a quick hug. "You were amazing," she whispered. "I've never seen anything like that." "I just did what I had to do," Maya said. But inside she wasn't feeling amazing. She was feeling shaken and angry and sad all at once. She kept seeing Officer Brennan's face in her mind. The way he looked at her. The way he spoke to her. Like she was nothing. Like she didn't matter. That look would stay with her for a long time. The morning went on. More customers came in. Word spread quickly about what had happened. Some people had seen the videos already. They were being shared on social media, spreading from phone to phone, from person to person. New customers came in specifically to show their support. They wanted to eat at the diner where a black woman business owner had stood up to a racist cop. They wanted to be part of something good. By lunchtime, there was a line out the door. Maya had never seen it so busy on a weekday. David was working overtime in the kitchen. Carmen was running between tables. Maya had put her apron back on and was helping serve food. Her body was tired, but she kept moving. She kept smiling at customers. She kept doing her job. Around 1 o'clock, a woman in a business suit walked in. She had a camera crew with her. Maya recognized her immediately. She was a reporter from the local news station. Maya's stomach tightened. She wasn't sure if she wanted this. She wasn't sure if she wanted her face on TV, her story told to thousands of people she didn't know. The reporter approached the counter. "Ms. Robinson? I'm Jennifer Martinez from Channel 7 News. I was wondering if we could talk to you about what happened this morning." Maya looked at the camera, then back at the reporter. Part of her wanted to say no. She wanted to just go back to her normal life, running her diner in peace. But another part of her knew this was bigger than just her. This was about every person who had ever been treated like they were less than, every person who had been judged by the color of their skin, instead of the content of their character. If she stayed silent, nothing would change. Officer Brennan would keep doing what he did, and other officers like him would keep getting away with it. "Yes," Maya said. "I'll talk to you." They set up in a quiet corner of the diner. The reporter asked Maya to tell her story. Maya explained what happened, speaking slowly and clearly. She didn't exaggerate. She didn't add drama. She just told the truth. The reporter listened, nodding, her face showing concern and interest. "How do you feel right now?" the reporter asked. Maya thought about that question. How did she feel? "I feel tired," she said honestly. "I feel hurt, but I also feel strong. I built this business from nothing. I worked hard every single day for 15 years. And no one can take that away from me. No one can make me feel ashamed of what I've accomplished." "What do you want people to know?" the reporter asked. Maya looked directly into the camera. "I want people to know that this happens every day. Not always this public, not always this dramatic, but black people, brown people, people of color. We deal with this kind of treatment all the time. We're assumed to be less capable, less educated, less honest. And it's wrong. We deserve to be treated with the same respect as everyone else. We deserve to be judged by our actions, not by what we look like." The interview aired on the evening news. Maya watched it at home that night with her daughter Jasmine, who had driven home from college as soon as she heard what happened. They sat on the couch together, Maya's arm around her daughter, watching the story unfold on the screen. The news showed clips from the videos that customers had recorded. They showed Officer Brennan's face, his angry words. They showed Maya standing up to him, calm and dignified. Then they showed the interview. Maya watched herself on screen and barely recognized the strong woman she saw there. "Is that really me?" she thought. "That brave person?" "Mom, I'm so proud of you," Jasmine said. Tears were running down her face. "You were incredible." Maya hugged her daughter tight. This was why she had stood up. This was why she had fought back. So that Jasmine would grow up knowing she didn't have to accept disrespect. She didn't have to make herself small to make other people comfortable. She could stand tall and demand to be treated with dignity. The next morning, Maya woke up to hundreds of messages on her phone. Friends from years ago, people she had gone to school with, customers from the diner, strangers who had seen the news and wanted to express their support. The messages were overwhelming. Some made her cry. Some made her smile. All of them reminded her that she wasn't alone. When she arrived at the diner at 5:30 in the morning, there were already people waiting outside. Some were regular customers who had come even earlier than usual, but some were new faces, people who wanted to support her business. people who wanted to stand with her. The day was even busier than the one before. Maya and her staff worked constantly. They ran out of bacon by noon and had to send David to the store to buy more. They ran out of coffee cups and had to use the backup supplies from the storage room. It was chaos, but it was good chaos. It was the chaos of community coming together. In the middle of the lunch rush, a man in a suit walked in. He was older, with gray hair and a serious face. Maya was taking an order when she saw him. Something about the way he carried himself made her nervous. He looked official, important. He looked like someone who could cause trouble. The man waited patiently by the door until Maya finished with her customer. Then he approached her. "Ms. Robinson? I'm Chief Robert Morrison from the police department. Could I speak with you privately for a moment?" Maya's heart started racing again. Was she in trouble? Had Officer Brennan filed a complaint against her? She looked around the busy diner. She didn't want to leave, but she also didn't want to have this conversation in front of everyone. "David," she called to the kitchen. "Can you cover for me for a few minutes?" "Got it, boss," David called back. Maya led the police chief to her small office in the back. She closed the door and turned to face him. She stood straight, trying to look confident even though her insides were churning with worry. Chief Morrison's face was hard to read. "Ms. Robinson, I want to start by apologizing. What happened to you yesterday was completely unacceptable. Officer Brennan's behavior was unprofessional and offensive. It does not represent the values of our police department." Maya was surprised. She had expected defensiveness. She had expected excuses. She hadn't expected an apology. "Thank you," she said cautiously. "I appreciate you saying that. I've launched a full internal investigation," the chief continued. "We're reviewing Officer Brennan's conduct and going through his record. I want you to know that we take this seriously. Very seriously." "With all respect, Chief Morrison," Maya said, "people have been making complaints about Officer Brennan for years. I've already heard from other people who had problems with him. Why is this time different?" The chief looked uncomfortable. "You're right, and that's something we need to address. Sometimes complaints get buried. Sometimes officers get protected when they shouldn't be, but this time there's video evidence. There are multiple witnesses. There's media attention. It's harder to sweep under the rug. So if there hadn't been cameras," Maya said slowly, "if customers hadn't recorded what happened, this would just disappear. I'd just be another person filing a complaint that goes nowhere." The chief was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. "Probably. And I'm sorry for that. I'm truly sorry, but I'm trying to change that. I've only been chief for 6 months. I'm working to reform how we handle complaints, how we hold officers accountable. This situation is going to help me push for the changes we need." Maya didn't know what to say. Part of her was angry that it took a viral video and media attention for anything to happen, but part of her was glad that something was happening at all. That was more than a lot of people got. More than her mother had gotten when she was treated badly by police. More than her grandmother had gotten. "What happens now?" Maya asked. "Officer Brennan has been suspended without pay while we investigate," the chief said. "The investigation will take a few weeks. We'll interview witnesses, review the videos, look at his past conduct. Then there will be a hearing. Depending on what we find, he could face disciplinary action ranging from retraining to termination." "And Officer Torres?" Maya asked. "The younger officer who was with him?" "Officer Torres has already submitted a statement supporting your account of what happened," the chief said. He also requested a new training officer, citing ethical concerns about Officer Brennan's behavior. That took courage. Not many young officers are willing to go against their training officer. Maya thought about Torres, the way he had apologized, the way he had tried to get Brennan to leave. He had been uncomfortable the whole time. "He was kind to me," she said, "even when his partner wasn't. I hope he doesn't get in trouble for doing the right thing." "He won't," the chief promised. "I'll make sure of that. In fact, I'm thinking of using this situation as a teaching moment for all our officers. About respect, about bias, about the responsibility that comes with wearing a badge." The chief handed Maya his business card. "If you have any problems, any concerns, you call me directly, and I'll be in touch as the investigation progresses. You deserve to know what's happening." Maya took the card. "Thank you, Chief Morrison. I hope things really do change." "So do I," he said. He looked tired suddenly, older. "So do I. After the chief left, Maya stood in her office for a few minutes. She looked around at the walls, at the pictures of her daughter, at the first dollar she had ever earned from the diner, framed and hanging above her desk, at the certificates and awards. This was her kingdom, this small office in a small diner, but it was hers. She had built it, and she had defended it. She went back out to the dining room. Customers were still coming in. The line still stretched out the door. Carmen and David were working as fast as they could. Maya tied on her apron and jumped back in. She took orders. She poured coffee. She cleared tables. She smiled at every person who came through her door. Because this was what she did. This was who she was. She was Maya Robinson, business owner, mother, survivor, fighter. And no one could take that away from her. The story spread like wildfire over the next few days. What started as a local news segment turned into something much bigger. National news outlets picked it up. Maya's face appeared on morning talk shows and news websites. The videos from the diner had been viewed millions of times. People across the country were talking about what happened at Maya's place. Maya's phone never stopped ringing. Interview requests came from everywhere. Magazines wanted to do feature stories. Podcasts wanted her as a guest. Even some book publishers reached out, asking if she would be interested in telling her whole life story. It was overwhelming. Maya had never wanted to be famous. She just wanted to run her diner in peace. But now she was in the center of a national conversation about racism, police conduct, and small business ownership. On the third day after the incident, Maya arrived at the diner before dawn as usual. But this time something was different. There were news vans parked on the street. Camera crews were setting up on the sidewalk. And there were people, lots of people. Some were there to eat breakfast and show support, but others were there to protest. They carried signs that said things like, "Justice for Maya" and "Hold police accountable" and "Black women matter." Maya got out of her car slowly. She wasn't sure how to feel about all this attention. She walked toward the diner and people started recognizing her. They began clapping and cheering. Some called out words of encouragement. "We're with you, Maya. You're a hero. Thank you for standing up." A young black woman approached her. She looked about Jasmine's age. "Ms. Robinson," she said, "I just want to thank you. What you did matters. You showed people like me that we don't have to accept being treated badly, that we can stand up for ourselves." Maya felt tears coming to her eyes. She hugged the young woman. "Thank you for being here," she said softly. Inside the diner, David and Carmen had already started preparing for what they knew would be another crazy day. They had ordered extra supplies. They had called in 2 other part-time workers to help. Everyone knew they would need all hands on deck. The morning rush was unlike anything Maya had ever experienced. Every table was full. People stood in line for over an hour just to get a seat. Some came from other cities, driving for hours just to eat at Maya's place. They wanted to be part of the story. They wanted to support a black woman business owner who had faced racism and won. But it wasn't just customers. Around mid-morning, a woman walked in carrying a large bouquet of flowers. "These are for Maya Robinson," she said. From the Women's Business Association. Carmen took the flowers and put them in water. But they weren't the only ones. More flowers came. Then gift baskets. Then cards and letters. People sent donations. Some sent checks for $50. Some sent $100. One envelope contained $5,000 with a note that said, "For your daughter's college fund." From a mother who believes in what you did. Maya didn't know what to do with all the generosity. She had never expected this. She set up a box behind the counter for all the cards and letters. She would read them later when she had time to cry happy tears in private. Around noon, the mayor walked in. Mayor Linda Stevens was a black woman in her 50s who had been elected 2 years ago. She came with several city council members and a photographer from the city's communications office. Maya was serving coffee when she saw them come in. She wiped her hands on her apron and went to greet them. "Ms. Robinson," the mayor said warmly. She shook Maya's hand. "I came to personally thank you for what you did. You handled a terrible situation with grace and dignity. You're an example for the whole city." "Thank you, Mayor Stevens," Maya said. She felt embarrassed by all the attention but also proud. "I just did what anyone should do when they're treated unfairly. But not everyone has the courage to stand up," the mayor said. "Especially not to someone in a position of power. What you did took real bravery. And it sparked an important conversation in our city about how we treat people, how police conduct themselves, and how we support minority-owned businesses. The mayor presented Maya with a proclamation from the city. It declared the coming Saturday as Maya Robinson Day, in honor of her contributions to the community and her courage in standing against discrimination. Maya held the framed document and felt her throat get tight with emotion. This was real. This was happening. Her stand had meant something. It had changed something. After the mayor left, more people came. Local business owners who wanted to show solidarity, members of Black community organizations, church groups, student groups from nearby colleges. They all wanted to meet Maya, to shake her hand, to tell her how much her story meant to them. But not everyone was supportive. Some phone calls came to the diner that were angry and hateful. One man called and said Maya was a troublemaker who was just trying to get attention. A woman left a voicemail saying that police deserved respect, and Maya should be ashamed of herself for making that officer look bad. Someone sent an anonymous letter filled with racial slurs and threats. Maya tried not to let the negative voices get to her. For every hateful message, there were 100 supportive ones. But still, the hate hurt. It reminded her that not everyone saw what happened the same way. Some people would always side with the police no matter what. Some people would always see her as less than, just because of her skin color. By the end of the week, something unexpected happened. A customer came in and told Maya about a GoFundMe page. Someone had started it without asking her. It was called Support Maya's Place, and the goal was to raise money for the diner in case business was hurt by the controversy. The person who started it thought that police officers and their supporters might boycott the diner, costing Maya money. Maya looked at the page on her phone. The fundraiser had been started 3 days ago. The goal was $10,000, but it had already raised over $200,000. Maya couldn't believe it. $200,000 from people she had never met, people from all over the country, all over the world even. "This is for standing up to racism," one comment said. "Thank you for your courage," said another. "Black women deserve respect." "Thank you for demanding it," wrote someone else. "I'm a police officer and what that cop did was wrong. Thank you for holding him accountable," wrote another person. Maya sat down in her office and cried. She had spent 15 years building her business slowly, carefully, saving every dollar. And now, in less than a week, strangers had given her more money than she had made in a whole year. It was overwhelming. It was beautiful. It was proof that there were more good people than bad people in the world. She called Jasmine that night. "Baby," she said, "we need to talk about this GoFundMe money." "Mom, isn't it amazing?" Jasmine said. She sounded so excited. "You can use it to expand the diner, or maybe open a second location." Maya had been thinking about what to do with the money all day. "I have an idea," she said. "What if we use most of it to create a scholarship fund for minority students who want to study business? We could help other people achieve their dreams the way I achieved mine." There was silence on the other end of the phone. Then Jasmine said, "Mom, that's perfect. That's exactly what you should do." They talked for over an hour, planning how the scholarship would work. They would keep enough of the GoFundMe money to make some improvements to the diner. New equipment for the kitchen, fresh paint, maybe finally fix that leak in the bathroom that had been bothering Maya for months. But the rest would go into the scholarship fund. The Maya Robinson Business Scholarship for minority students. It would give money to students who needed help paying for college or vocational training in business fields. Maya felt good about this decision. She didn't want to just take money and keep it for herself. She wanted to create something that would last, something that would help other people the way so many people had helped her this week. The following Monday, a letter arrived at the diner. It was from Officer Torres. Maya opened it carefully and read, "Dear Ms. Robinson," it said, "I wanted to write to apologize again for what happened. I should have done more to stop Officer Brannon. I should have been braver. I stayed quiet because I was afraid of losing my job or being seen as disloyal to my partner. But that was wrong. My loyalty should be to what's right, not to a person who's doing wrong. I've learned a lot from this experience. I've asked to be transferred to a unit that does community policing. I want to rebuild trust between police and the communities we serve. Thank you for teaching me an important lesson about courage. I hope you can forgive me for not speaking up sooner. Respectfully, Officer James Torres." Maya folded the letter carefully and put it in her desk drawer. She would keep it. It was a reminder that people could change, that people could learn, that even in the middle of something bad, something good could grow. That afternoon, a man in a suit came to the diner. He introduced himself as a lawyer. "Ms. Robinson, I represent a major restaurant chain. We've been following your story. We're very impressed with how you've built your business and handled this situation. We'd like to talk to you about a possible partnership. We're looking to invest in minority-owned restaurants and help them expand." Maya listened to his pitch. He talked about money, about expansion, about turning Maya's place into a chain of restaurants, about making her rich. It was tempting. She would be lying if she said it wasn't tempting. But then Maya looked around her diner. She saw Mr. Patterson in his usual corner booth reading his paper. She saw Mrs. Chen with her grandchildren, laughing at something one of them said. She saw Marcus grading papers while eating pancakes. She saw all the regular people who made this place special. Would she still have this if the diner became part of a big chain? Would she still know everyone's name? Would she still be able to put her hands in the work every day? "Thank you for the offer," Maya said politely. "But I'm not interested in selling or partnering right now. This diner is personal to me. It's my home, and I want to keep it that way." The lawyer looked surprised. "Ms. Robinson, do you understand how much money we're talking about? This could make you very wealthy." Maya smiled. "I'm already wealthy," she said. "I have a successful business that I built myself. I have a daughter in college. I have a community that supports me. I have people who stood up for me when things got hard. That's wealth. That's real wealth. And I don't want to trade it for anything." The lawyer left, shaking his head like he couldn't understand her decision. But Maya understood it perfectly. She had exactly what she wanted. She had fought for it. She had protected it. And she wasn't going to let anyone change it, no matter how much money they offered. That night, Maya closed the diner and sat alone in the empty dining room. It was quiet now. Peaceful. She looked at all the tables where people had sat throughout the day, all the conversations that had happened, all the food that had been shared. This was her life's work. This small diner in a small neighborhood. But it had turned into something bigger than she ever imagined. It had become a symbol. A place where dignity had won over hate, where courage had defeated fear. Maya stood up and walked to the door. She turned off the lights and locked up. Tomorrow would be another busy day. More customers. More support. More opportunities to make a difference. But tonight she would go home and rest. She would hug her daughter. She would remember that she was strong. That she was enough. That she had nothing to prove to anyone. She had already proven everything that mattered. 3 weeks after the incident, Maya received a call from Chief Morrison. She was in her office doing paperwork when her phone rang. She recognized his number from the business card he had given her. "Ms. Robinson, this is Chief Morrison. I wanted to update you on the investigation into Officer Brennan." Maya put down her pen and sat back in her chair. "I'm listening." "We've completed our investigation," the chief said. His voice was serious. "We interviewed over 20 witnesses. We reviewed all the video evidence. We also looked into Officer Brennan's history with the department. What we found was disturbing. He has 17 official complaints filed against him over his 20 years on the force. Most of those complaints came from people of color. There were also numerous informal complaints that were never officially recorded." Maya felt angry hearing this. 17 complaints. And nothing had been done until now. "What happens to him now?" "There will be a disciplinary hearing next week," Chief Morrison said. "Based on the evidence, I'm recommending termination. He'll also lose his pension unless he agrees to retire early. The choice will be his. Will I need to testify?" Maya asked. The thought of facing Officer Brennan again made her stomach tight. "Only if you want to," the chief said. "We have enough evidence without your testimony. But if you want to make a statement at the hearing, you're welcome to do so." Maya thought about it. Did she want to face that man again? Did she want to relive that morning? But then she thought about all the other people he had treated badly. All the people who had filed complaints that went nowhere. She could speak for them. She could make sure their voices were heard. "I'll be there," she said. "I want to make a statement." The hearing was held at police headquarters in a large meeting room. Maya arrived early wearing her navy blue suit. Jasmine came with her for support. So did David and several regular customers from the diner. Officer Torres was there too, looking nervous in his dress uniform. He would be testifying about what he witnessed. The room filled up. Maya saw Officer Brennan sitting at a table with his lawyer and a union representative. He looked older than she remembered. Smaller somehow. He wouldn't look at her. He kept his eyes down on the table in front of him. The hearing began. The police commission reviewed the evidence. They showed the videos from the diner. They read statements from witnesses. They went through Brennan's file, listing complaint after complaint. Some were similar to what happened to Maya. Others were different but showed the same pattern of behavior. Disrespect, intimidation, bias. Officer Torres testified. He spoke clearly about what he witnessed that day. He talked about how uncomfortable he felt with Brennan's behavior. He mentioned other times when Brennan had made inappropriate comments about people of color. His testimony was damaging. When he finished, Brennan's lawyer tried to discredit him, suggesting he was lying to advance his own career. But Torres didn't back down. He stood by his statement. Then it was Maya's turn. She walked to the front of the room. She took a deep breath and began to speak. My name is Maya Robinson. I'm a small business owner. I've run my diner for 15 years. I pay my taxes. I employ people from the community. I donate to local schools and charities. I'm a good citizen. But on that morning 3 weeks ago, Officer Brennan treated me like I was worthless. He treated me like I was less than human. And why? Because when he looked at me, he didn't see a business owner. He didn't see a mother. He didn't see a person who works hard and contributes to society. He just saw my skin color, and he decided that was all he needed to know about me. Maya's voice was steady. She looked directly at the commission members. What happened to me happens every day to people of color in this country. We're judged before we open our mouths. We're assumed to be less educated, less capable, less deserving of respect. And when we stand up for ourselves, we're told we're being difficult. We're being too sensitive. We're playing the race card, but this isn't about a card. This is about basic human dignity. She paused and looked at Officer Brennan. He was still looking down. I don't hate Officer Brennan. I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry that he's lived his whole life carrying around that much hate, that much bias. It must be exhausting. It must be lonely. But I also know that people like him can't be allowed to wear a badge. They can't be given power over others because they will abuse that power. They already have over and over again. The evidence is right here in his file. Maya turned back to the commission. I'm asking you to do the right thing. Not just for me, but for all the people who came before me. All the people who filed complaints that were ignored. All the people who didn't have cameras recording. All the people who were too afraid to speak up. Make it clear that this behavior is not acceptable. Make it clear that badges don't give anyone the right to treat people with disrespect. Send a message that this city values all its citizens equally, regardless of the color of their skin. When Maya finished, there was silence in the room. Then some people started clapping. The commission chair had to ask them to stop. It wasn't appropriate to applaud during a hearing. But Maya saw the looks on their faces. She had reached them. Her words had mattered. The commission deliberated for 2 hours. Maya waited outside with her supporters. Jasmine held her hand. David kept getting her water. Mr. Patterson sat quietly in a chair, his old hands folded in his lap, waiting. They were all waiting. Finally, the commission called everyone back in. The chair read the decision. After reviewing all the evidence and testimony, this commission has determined that Officer Richard Brennan violated multiple department policies regarding respectful treatment of citizens, use of authority, and professional conduct. His pattern of behavior over 20 years demonstrates an unwillingness or inability to serve all members of this community with equal respect and fairness. Therefore, it is the decision of this commission that Officer Richard Brennan be terminated from the police department, effective immediately. He will not be eligible for retirement benefits unless he agrees to resign voluntarily. This decision is final. The room erupted in noise. Some people cheered. Some clapped. Brennan's lawyer immediately started objecting, saying they would appeal. But Brennan himself just sat there. He looked defeated. He looked like a man who knew he had lost. Maya felt relief wash over her. It was done. Justice had been served. Not perfect justice. Nothing could erase what happened or what Brennan had done to other people over the years. But it was something. It was accountability. It was consequences. And that mattered. As everyone filed out of the room, Officer Torres approached Maya. "Thank you," he said, "for speaking up, for making this happen. You've changed things for a lot of people." "You spoke up too," Maya reminded him. "That took courage." Torres nodded. "I've been thinking a lot about the kind of police officer I want to be, the kind of person I want to be. This experience taught me that staying silent when you see something wrong is the same as being part of it. I won't make that mistake again." Maya shook his hand. "The community needs good police officers. People who care. People who see everyone as human. I hope you'll be one of those officers." "I will," Torres promised. "I really will." The news coverage of the hearing was extensive. Once again, Maya's face was on television and in newspapers. But this time, the headlines were about justice, about accountability, about change. Community leaders praised the decision. Police reform advocates called it an important step forward. And across the country, people who had experienced similar treatment felt a little bit of hope. If it could happen in Maya's city, maybe it could happen in theirs too. But Maya didn't want to be a professional activist or a public figure. She wanted to go back to running her diner. She wanted to return to her normal life. So she politely declined most interview requests. She focused on her business and her family. 6 months after the incident, Maya held a special event at the diner. She had invited reporters, community leaders, and many of the customers who had supported her. She stood at the front of the packed dining room with Jasmine beside her. "Thank you all for coming," Maya said. "6 months ago, something happened here that changed my life. It was a terrible experience in many ways, but it also showed me the power of community, the power of people standing together, and I want to do something meaningful with the support you've all shown me." She gestured to Jasmine, who held up a large poster board. On it was printed information about the Maya Robinson Business Scholarship for minority students. "We're announcing the scholarship fund today. It will provide financial assistance to minority students who want to study business. We'll give out 10 scholarships in the first year, each worth $5,000. The money came from the GoFundMe campaign that so many of you contributed to. We're using it to create opportunities for the next generation." The room applauded. Maya felt tears in her eyes, but they were happy tears this time. "This is how we create real change," she continued. "Not just by punishing people who do wrong, but by lifting up people who are trying to do right. By creating opportunities. By investing in our communities. By helping young people achieve their dreams." The first scholarship recipients were announced that day. There was Latoya, who wanted to open a bakery. There was Miguel, who dreamed of starting a construction company. There was Aisha, who wanted to become an accountant and help other small businesses with their finances. Each of them had a story. Each of them had a dream. And now, because of Maya's experience and the community support, they had a better chance of achieving it. Maya continued working at her diner every day. She still tied on her apron and served customers. She still knew everyone's regular orders. She still put her tips in the college fund jar, even though Jasmine's education was now fully paid for. The extra money would go to the scholarship fund. The diner became a landmark in the community. People brought visitors there to show them where Maya Robinson had stood up to injustice. Tour buses sometimes stopped outside. Photographs of Maya hung on the wall, showing her receiving awards from the mayor, the governor, and several national organizations. But Maya never let it go to her head. She remained humble and focused on her work. A year after the incident, the city installed a plaque outside the diner. It read, "Maya's Place, Site of Historic Stand Against Discrimination. Here, Maya Robinson demonstrated that courage, dignity, and community solidarity can overcome injustice. May her example inspire future generations." Maya cried when she saw it, not because she wanted to be remembered or celebrated, but because it meant something. It meant her pain had a purpose. It meant other people might be inspired to stand up when they faced injustice. It meant change was possible. Officer Brennan never apologized. He appealed the commission's decision but lost. He ended up taking early retirement with reduced benefits. Maya heard through the news that he moved to another state. She hoped he would find peace somehow. She hoped he would learn from what happened. But mostly she just hoped he wouldn't hurt anyone else. Officer Torres, on the other hand, thrived. He became a leader in the police department's community outreach program. He spoke at schools about respect and equality. He trained new officers on bias awareness and appropriate conduct. He often stopped by Maya's place for coffee, and they developed a friendship built on mutual respect. He was proof that the police department could change, that individual officers could make a difference. 5 years later, Maya stood in her diner early one morning. It looked much the same as it always had. She had made some improvements with the GoFundMe money. New booths, fresh paint, better equipment in the kitchen. But the soul of the place hadn't changed. It was still a neighborhood diner where everyone was welcome, where everyone was treated with respect, where community mattered more than anything else. Jasmine had graduated from college and medical school. She was now a doctor at the same hospital where many of Maya's nursing customers worked. She still came to the diner every week for breakfast with her mother. They sat in the corner booth that used to belong to Mr. Patterson. He had passed away 2 years ago, but Maya kept a small framed photo of him on the wall behind his favorite seat. He was one of the people who stood up for her. She would never forget that. The scholarship fund had grown. They now gave out 30 scholarships a year instead of 10. Dozens of young people had been helped. Some of them had started their own businesses. Others were working in business careers, helping their communities. The scholarship had created a ripple effect of opportunity and success. Maya's story was taught in schools now. Children learned about her stand against discrimination. College students studied her case in classes about civil rights and social justice. She received letters from young people all over the country, telling her that she inspired them, that she showed them they could stand up for themselves, that they mattered. But for Maya, the greatest reward was simpler than all of that. It was the little girl who came into the diner one morning with her grandmother. The girl was maybe 7 years old with big brown eyes and hair in braids. She looked around the diner with wonder. "Grandma," she said, "is this really the place where that lady stood up to the mean police officer?" "Yes, baby," her grandmother said. "This is the place." The little girl looked at Maya, who was wiping down the counter. "Are you her? Are you Maya Robinson?" Maya smiled and knelt down to the girl's level. "Yes, I am." The girl's eyes went wide. "You're brave," she said. "I want to be brave like you when I grow up." Maya felt her heart swell. She touched the girl's cheek gently. "You can be brave right now. You don't have to wait until you grow up. Being brave just means standing up for what's right, even when it's scary." "Can you do that?" The little girl nodded seriously. "Yes, I can do that." "Then you're already brave," Maya said. "Just like me." She stood up and led them to a table. She took their order. She served their food. She gave them excellent service the way she did for everyone who walked through her door, because that's who she was. That's what she did. She treated people with dignity and respect. She created a space where everyone belonged. She stood up for what was right. And in doing so, she had changed not just her own life, but the lives of countless others. Her story would live on long after she was gone. It would remind people that one person standing up can make a difference, that courage is contagious, that community matters, that justice, though sometimes slow, is worth fighting for. Maya Robinson had built more than a diner. She had built a legacy, and that legacy would continue to inspire people for generations to come. As she looked around her diner that morning, seeing all the familiar faces and some new ones, Maya felt grateful. Grateful for the struggle that had made her stronger. Grateful for the community that had supported her. Grateful for the opportunity to turn pain into purpose. Grateful to be alive and able to make a difference in the world. She picked up her coffee pot and walked through the dining room, refilling cups and chatting with customers. It was just another day at Maya's place, but it was also so much more than that. It was a day where dignity won, where respect mattered, where every person who walked through the door knew they would be treated as they deserved to be treated, as human beings worthy of love, respect, and justice. And that, Maya knew, was everything that mattered.